without further ado, prepare yourselves for today's season finale to the March series as we present 40 Days with Jesus.
I never did talk that much. Came back honest, but not talking. My dad didn't talk that much either. One day his mouth got shut by a big old angel. Well, I tend to make you careful too. He was a good man, my dad, a priest. Work up there at the temple, slaughtering them lambs. It kind of scared me what he'd do with them lambs and everything. But he did it. Eventually he got too old. I never did went into his line of work. Didn't quite understand it, couldn't figure it out. But he was a good man. Later on I got old. Boy out there in the desert. And while out there, my father, he walked me to the river. And he handed me this note. And he said, I used to say these words over you when you was a baby. And I want you to chew on these words out here in the desert. It said, you, my boy, are going to go ahead of the Lord and get everything ready for him. You're going to tell his people that they can have their sins forgiven. Tell them that God's kindness is going to shine on them like the rising sun. Well, I stayed out there chewing on these words for a long time until these words started chewing on me. I felt this weight came upon me. Then I went up to the river and opened my mouth, and words started pouring out like a swarm of bees. I was fussing at those religious folks, telling them to get right with God, get baptized. Funny thing about it, I didn't understand it. But I kept on doing it. Repent, get baptized. But the whole while, that weight was still on me. One morning I went to the river and I seen this fella walking towards me. And I could hear myself saying under my voice, there he is. There he is. The Lamb of God that's going to take away our sins. He came up to me and, that's my cousin Jesus. I haven't seen him in years. He said, baptize me. I did. He's standing there all dripping wet. And I swear I heard out of those clouds, this is my boy. And I'm well pleased of him. Isn't that something? I just kept watching him shining like the rising sun. And that weight that was on me was lifted off of me. And I knew that second that I'd done my job. I went before him. Well, it never was about me. It was about him. Well, it still is.
know what it felt like? It felt like Dad's strength. You know Dad's strength? When you're laid on the floor wrestling with your dad, he's taking the punches and toying with you, and all of a sudden, boom, he just takes you down. That's what it was like on that day that Jesus put me in my place. Hindsight's 20/20, I know. But I couldn't understand what he was trying to say. I couldn't understand what he was saying to me. I mean, why did he have to suffer? Why did he have to die? No, not on my watch. It's not going to happen. I will not let this happen. I thought, maybe he's dehydrated. Maybe he's hungry. Dude never did get enough food to eat, in my opinion. But anyway, I go over and I grab him and I pull him off to the side. And I start laying into him pretty good, And he stops me. And he looks at me with those eyes. He has those eyes, And you know what he said to me? Get behind me, Satan. Dad's strength. Those words, that moment, he floored me. It floored me. I just couldn't understand. But you know what? Wasn't the first time I didn't understand. Wasn't going to be the last either. But seriously, get behind me, Satan. I mean, I've got my faults, I know. But Satan, that was a little harsh. That kind of stung a little bit. But, you see, I wanted him to use that dad's strength on the world. But that was my desires, my plans. Your boy Peter, his plans don't always work out real well, i.e. the ear cutting incident, et cetera, et cetera. But he knew. He knew all along. He would give us just enough rope to let us get out there and figure things out for ourselves. Then he'd take that dad's strength and he'd just pull us back in, right when we needed to be saved from ourselves. That was his plan all along, to save us from ourselves, to save me from myself.
Jesus walked into the temple. He just stood there at first. It was almost like disbelief. But then I saw it. I saw the fire in his eyes. I had come from Galilee to the place where God said he'd meet us. Did it feel like a scam? Yeah. I had never been able to afford a lamb as a sacrifice. All I could afford was one of those overpriced pigeons. As a wife and a mother, there's one word you never expect to be called. Widow. I never realized how safe I had felt with my husband around until he was gone. was like being exposed on every side with nothing between you and your babies in a world full of vipers, but me, just me. So I stood there that day and watched as Jesus grabbed a whip and chased businessmen out of the temple, poured money on the ground, but more than that, I saw his expression on his face. I recognized it. He held that whip like a viper was threatening his kids. He said, destroy this temple, and in 3 days, I'll raise it up. Took me 3 years to realize what he meant. Slow learner. But he wasn't talking about the building. No, that was a place where dishonest men had put their grimy fingers on God's glory and had defiled the intimate process of worshiping him. That day wasn't about destruction, though. It was about hope, because knowing God is all about Jesus. When I think back on that day and what Jesus did and how he did it, it felt like being rescued. Life can be brutal. My kids' appetites are still growing. I still cry a lot. But now, he made a place for me to be still. A place where rest and trust meet. Right there at God's feet. And the price of that access, it's paid because of Jesus. He conquered death. And that's how I make it through life.
$613. I had 613 rules to obey. Can you imagine that? Does anybody really understand how many that is? And I knew them all, and I followed them, mostly. So I'm sitting across from Jesus, and he looks at me, and he said, Nicodemus, it's not about the rules. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. It's not about the rules. Now, you have to see things from my perspective. The day before, I see this guy come into the temple and turn it upside down. The place, mind you, that I had spent my entire life trying to preserve. So you could understand why I might want to have a talk with him in a secluded place at night. I mean, how would you feel if someone says, someone you respected tells you that everything that you had devoted your entire life to misses the point entirely? You're a fool. That's how you feel. So I said something to him like, well, only one rule. That sounds too good to be true. He said, all I had to do was believe that he was the Messiah. All I had to do was believe that he was the one that was promised. And he said it, and he just glossed right over it like it was some simple thing. And then he started talking about light and darkness and good and evil and truth. And I'm thinking, whoa, wait. Can we please go back to that place where you took this really complicated thing? And 13 laws. But I was wrong. It was love that would save me. For God so loved.
When I was a little girl, I remember my mom would tell us she could always tell when it was about to rain because her elbow would get creaky. And my smart mouth would say, "Mama, forget that old elbow. I just listen for the thunder." Well, Mama's elbow didn't always get it right, but the thunder never lied. And that night of Passover, I just love talking about the Passover. I love remembering how God delivered us. And that night, we all just wanted to see him. Everyone had heard about Jesus. And I remember some Greeks showing up, pleading with Philip to see him. And that was all of us in some sense, just wanting to be in the same room as him. You know, it's like this feeling you get when something's about to happen. You can't explain it, you just know it. And we all just wanted to be there when it did. So Jesus starts talking about what was to come. And he said, "My heart is troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour." And he said, "No, this is the very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name." And then the old thunder came booming down right on time. And this wasn't just some rolling noise in the distance. It was God's voice saying, "I have glorified it, and I will glorify it again." I remember someone asking me if it was about to rain. And I said, "Child, that wasn't thunder. That was God. That was a triumphant noise. That was his glory setting the air on fire with anticipation of what was to come." And you didn't even need a creaky elbow to remember that.
first I just want to say that I didn't steal that donkey. I mean, it wasn't even my idea. Like, it was Jesus' idea. You know, he said it was an unwritten donkey out there in the village and for us to go get it. And I'm thinking, did Jesus just ask me to go steal a donkey? And let me tell you something. I know my shirt says no fear, but I was scared, buddy, let me tell you. I'm going to go in this village and steal this donkey and just walk out like that. Wasn't about to happen. But that's what we did. You know, we went out there and got the donkey, and the whole way there, I'm like, what is Jesus going to do with a donkey? And we're just pondering that idea back and forth, and we just stopped second-guessing Jesus, because like so many times before, he wouldn't tell us what he was going to do, but we just knew that it would be all right, that it would always work out. But when we got back with the donkey, that's when it happened. Some folks in the crowd started to throw their coats, and then Jesus got on the donkey. I mean, he really got on the donkey. And it's when he got on that donkey that something happened that we couldn't really explain. Everybody started cheering and dancing, and people were throwing their coats in front of the donkey as Jesus began to ride it. Some of us even grabbed palm branches and began to wave them as he was riding the donkey. And as we was waving the palm branches, that's when it really hit me. Jesus was here. He had arrived. And every time, you know, we would get excited about the miracles and the parables that Jesus would do, and he would always say, be quiet, you know, don't say anything. He was so meek and so humble. And but today he let us just celebrate him for the king that he truly was. And we had a time, let me tell you. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the weeks to come, but I know it's going to be huge, whatever it is. It will all be good. We're going to be okay, because today, Jesus showed up. I mean, today was it. Jesus showed up.
They say a rooster crowing is God's wake-up call. It was for me that day. I couldn't comprehend. None of us can comprehend that evening what was going on. One minute we're in the upper room and Jesus is washing our feet. The next minute we're in the garden. Jesus is going off to pray by himself. Next, I fell asleep. I admit it. I'm not ashamed. I'm not proud of it. I had a big meal that night. Bread makes me sleepy. But then next thing I know, me, James, and John are being woke up by Jesus, and he's all crazy and everything. And we wake up, and all of a sudden Judas goes over and kisses Jesus on the cheek. Next thing I know, I'm jumping up, trying to protect Jesus, and I'm cutting off a guard's ear. I mean, for the record, I wasn't aiming for the ear. I'm a fisherman, not a swordsman. Anyway, the next thing they do is they arrest Jesus and they take him away. What do? We ran. It was just 2 hours earlier. I was looking at him and I said, Lord, if everybody else leaves you, I won't. I'm with you. I love you, Jesus. I think that's what made me stop, turn around and go back. I caught a glimpse of him as they were leading him up to the high priest's house. So I went over to the gate and I thought, I'll stand here for a while and see what happens. And this girl, she points at me. She starts hollering, you're with him. You're with that man that claims to be the Son of God. You're one of his disciples. All of a sudden, I felt eyes all over me. So I tried to brush her off, and I said, you're confused. You've got me mixed up with somebody else, I'm afraid. So I make my way to the courtyard. I'm cold, and there's a fire, and I decide I'll warm up by the fire. And a guard spots me, one of the guards from the ear incident earlier. He says, arrest him. There he is. Get him. Lock him up. Wait a minute, dude. You've got me confused. You don't know me. You've got me with the wrong guy. And I watched that night, and they beat him. They spit on him. They threw him down, and they whipped him. They cursed him. They hollered at him. And I couldn't take it anymore. I got tired of the people looking at me. Tired of the accusations. Tired of the eyes. I said, I don't know him. I don't know who he is. I have nothing to do with him. Then I heard the most blood-curdling sound I've ever heard in my life. I heard the rooster crow. And he looked at me. He looked at me with that gaze that he has. You can't look away. And they arrested him and they took him away. I'll never leave you, Jesus. I'll die for you no matter what. What a joke. What would you have done? I ran. I just ran and I ran. You know what they did? They crucified him. They killed him. He's dead.
What kind of man welcomes the hurting, the helpless, and the hopeless? What kind of man can heal pain with just a soft touch? What kind of man can multiply hope and freedom as easy as he multiplied fish and bread? What kind of man can turn an old, dusty religion into a brand new relationship with him? What kind of man can claim to be God in the flesh, but yet allow that same divine flesh to be ripped apart? What kind of man would embrace betrayal, insults, torture, mockery, and even death, yet still live to tell about it? Who could speak with authority, yet with such compassion? Who is strong enough to calm the wildest storm that you may find yourself in, but meek enough to speak to even the smallest child? Who could allow the very hands that created the entire universe to be stretched out onto a wooden cross and to be nailed there? Who could choose patience when in reality I like to choose retaliation? Who in the world could be so blameless and sinless, yet die with criminals? Say it. That's right. Nobody but Jesus. Listen, who in the world could love the way that he loves? Who in the world can stay with us when everybody else has left us, can comfort us when we are suffering? Who else can be our peace even in our anxiety? Who can still our mind when our mind is drowning in confusion? Who can accept me with absolutely no strings attached? Who would die for me while I'm sinking in my sin? Who could take a grave and turn it into an Easter Sunday morning? Look to your neighbor and tell him, nobody but my Jesus. Now, I'm going to slap the person sitting beside you and tell him, nobody but my Jesus. I came to report to you this morning that nobody can do all these things but Jesus Christ himself. Listen, Oprah may tell us there's other ways, but I stopped by to let you know today that Jesus said, I am the way, I am the truth, and I am the light, and no man's going to get to Daddy unless it comes through me. You say, Pastor, do you believe that? I believe it because Jesus himself said it. He never said he was a good way. He didn't say he was a possibility. He didn't say that life is a multiple choice question and you can just answer which one you want and hopefully get that. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. You know, I thought about it. And Charles Taze Russell of Jehovah's Witnesses tried it. But guess what? He's dead. Can I tell you today, a lot of folks have tried it, but they're dead. Jehovah, listen, Joseph Smith of the Latter-day Saints tried it, but he's dead. Ellen White and Joseph Bates of the Seventh-day Adventists, they tried it, but they're dead. Buddha of the Japanese religion tried it, but he's dead. Confucius of the Chinese gods, listen, he tried it, but he's dead. You know why? Because nobody but Jesus Christ. Stand to your feet and high five somebody around you and tell them, nobody but Jesus. Nobody. Go on and high five somebody. This is Easter resurrection morning, and let them that nobody but Jesus can save. Nobody but Jesus can heal. Nobody but Jesus can calm the storm when it's raging. Nobody but Jesus. Nobody but Jesus. Every head bowed and every eye closed in this place.